Hi, it's Brian Hurt, your coach, and I'm very happy to be here with you today. I hope you're having a fantastic time so far on your coaching journey. Hope you're learning some things, seeing some things maybe you hadn't saw in the past or seen in the past. I'm just hoping that that's shining light for you to see so that you can take your steps forward. So let's do a quick recap. What you first started with was defining an extended vision. You're just kind of taking a look out into the future and saying, in the next 3, 4, 5 years, I want to create X in each of these life accounts. So we're actually throwing a vision out farther than like the next 12 months or today or the month or whatever. Then you took and broke that down into just the next 12 months and what you needed to create in the next 12 months that would help support your extended vision, and also things in the next 12 months that were just 12-month goals. Then the next step was to fund those goals, define whether or not there was any money that needed to be supplied so this goal could be achieved in the next 12 months. Our next step is what I call business planning light. It's a Know Your Numbers worksheet, and it will break everything down ultimately to let you know how many leads do you need on a consistent basis to generate the income, the revenue, and the income to support the life that you're choosing to have. And there's a couple things that this does for us. For one, it puts substance under how much money do you want to make. That question, it puts substance under that. There's really a meaning to the number, which when there's a meaning to something, it's often much easier to achieve than if there's no meaning to it. So it'll do that for you. The second thing it does for you is it takes your career life accounts, so your real estate and your lending businesses, it takes those businesses and it says this business has a function more than just generating money. It's funding all of these life accounts. Of course, that's generating money, but the purpose is to fund these life accounts so that I can live a fulfilled life, the life that I'm choosing to create. So it does those two things for you when you can look at it from that perspective. So I'm going to go over Know Your Numbers. It's probably one of the more confusing worksheets that we have. So I'm going to go over it real quick so that hopefully you have all your questions answered. And of course, if you don't, all you have to do is reach out to us. We'll get your question answered for you. So there's some instructions that you could definitely read, but your first line item is, what is my desired income? So here's how you develop that. It's taking your current lifestyle budget, what it takes to currently live the way you now live, and you add to that the funding numbers from funding your life accounts, because those are new numbers that are coming in, new expenses that it will take to achieve these goals in the next 12 months. Add those two together, that will be your desired income. Now do keep in mind taxes. So if you've got your raw number is going to be a net number, add your tax bracket on top of that number so that you're compensating for that. Also, if you have your finger on what your expenses are, add that to that number as well, that number being your desired income, and then you'll be fully locked and loaded knowing exactly what your number needs to be and what your career life account how it has to perform to bring that number to fruition. Average commissions per transaction is pretty self-explanatory, and then the number of closed transactions required to meet your yearly income or revenue number. And so it'll tell you to divide number 1, this number, by number 2 right here. And again, take the time to determine the annual, the monthly, the weekly, and the daily. That's just really good information to have. Number 4 is what is your average transaction size over the last 12 months. So if it's 250 or 350 or 175 or whatever it is, that number goes there. And then what is your dollar closing goal? And it'll tell you to take number 3 and multiply it times number 4, and then you'll have your number. Now, this is where it kind of gets a little confusing for people just because we have terminology involved. So initial consultation, number 6 is initial consultation closing percentage. And in my opinion, this should be a minimum of 80% with a target of 90%. Give us something to work toward. Initial consultation is when you've actually physically met with your client. Not on the phone, but physically met. You've taken that final step that determines that they are a client. And that's why that number, conversion ratio, should be pretty high, because you won't spend your time meeting with somebody that doesn't qualify to purchase a home, or if you're a lender, to refinance that home. So that number, again, should be a minimum of 80 with a maximum of, with a target of 95. You might know that, well, shoot, if I meet with somebody, 99% of these people close. So whatever you feel that is, throw that in that field for number 6. Now, number 7 is calculate the number of initial consultations that you'll need to meet your closing goal. So you will take number 3 and then divide it by number 6. And then that will populate these fields. Now, if you're always doing the annual one, then you'll break it down by 12 and then 52 and then 365. Now, number 8 is how many leads do I need to have, or excuse me, just the conversion ratio. It's the lead to IC conversion ratio, and that should be a minimum of 30%. Now, depending on where you get your business, that number could be much higher. It could be 75, 80, it could be 90%. Referral-based business, that lead to initial consultation conversion ratio is much higher because the lead is so much stronger. If you're buying leads, Zillow leads or whatever it might be, those numbers are weaker and should be at least a minimum of 30%. But they're weaker because of the quality of the lead. So now let's define what a lead is. A lead is somebody that you've understood is interested in a mortgage transaction or a real estate transaction, somebody that's interested in that. So you may have a name and a phone number, and then you talk to them, and then you find out whether there is a possibility to have an initial consultation. So the lead is the very first form of contact, however, if it's an email, a phone call, whatever it might be, whether they've called you or it's an outbound call, it's just whatever that might be. So a minimum of 30% on the conversion ratio, which means 30%, if I get 10 leads, 3 of them will turn into initial consultation. The number of leads, the way you figure out how many leads you'll need is you'll take number 7 and divide it by number 8, and then you'll know exactly how many leads that you need. And then at the end of the day, we want to know how much money you make per hour. We'll be using that number later on in coaching to define, are you being effective with your time? So that is the Know Your Numbers worksheet. Along with this is another worksheet that's called Know Your Marketing Pillars. The Know Your Marketing Pillars is really straightforward, really simple. Just read the instructions, and you won't have any. I don't believe you'll have any struggles with that. But again, if you do, all you have to do is reach out and say, hey, I don't get this form, and we will definitely take care of you for that. Have a great time doing this. This is really good information. For the way the brain works, we'll talk about that on our next coaching call, and how everything you're doing is starting to form up the science inside your brain. Have a great day. Let us know if you need any help, and to your success.